What's up, Brainiacs? Welcome to the Blabber Brain Show Independence Day Extravaganza 2022 edition. We're lighting off some fireworks with this show because we have none other than planet Earth's funniest stand-up comic, Rocky LaPorte, is with us today. Not going to want to miss this show. Let's do this.
Blabber Brains.
And welcome back to Blabber Brains Show. Yeah, I know it's been a while. We took a little break. It seems to always be saying that, but what the heck? We're back and better than ever. It's our 4th of July Independence Day Extravaganza show. I am your host, Michael Kadri, and my co-host over there, the nutty Big M, Mark Anthony. What is happening? Happy 4th to you, sir.
Happy 4th.
How come you're not holding any sparklers over there? I thought maybe you'd be like shooting off some fireworks.
Well, I was hoping to be outside, but it looks like there's a storm coming, so I had to hurry up and bring myself in to my dining room, living room, big room.
Well, we don't want to alarm everybody watching the show on the 4th of July because I think it's supposed to be a beautiful day on the 4th. This is pre-recorded, folks. So if you're worried that we're some kind of weather people here telling you that it's going to be pouring down rain, it's not. Rest assured, it's going to be a beautiful day. And at least in the Pittsburgh area, it's going to be beautiful. I can't tell if you're from Saskatchewan, maybe it's raining there. Boise, Idaho, it may be raining where you're at. I can't vouch for that.
Maybe it could be raining here by the end of this show.
Well, it is totally my fault that we've had a long hiatus, but I had to get the number 2 offspring graduated and get her party going, and everything was a success, I might add. Thank you for showing up there, Big M. I hope you had a good time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's, when you have kids, especially whenever they get up into that level and they're active and everything, it just takes up so much of your time. So what I'm hoping to do is hopefully we can pull one of these off at least once a month. I'm not going to go for twice a month, but I'd like to at least shoot for once a month because now my time is a little bit more freed up now that, especially once they're both off to college and off to Penn State there. But, kids take up a lot of time. What can I say? So hopefully we'll be a little bit more freed up. We got Rocky LaPorte on with us today. Finally, we've had a couple false starts, but some scheduling conflicts. But I'm happy to say that Rocky will be on with us in the second half of the show. What do you think about that?
Hey, we got somebody big coming in. I mean, it's simple as that. Simple as that. I don't have to go to my 93-year-old neighbor and say, "Hey, can you come on and let us interview?"
Well, we've had some big people on before. I mean, we've had Lacey Sturm, John Elefante. We had Jeff James. Hey, I know Jeff's a good buddy of yours, but he's on with Dan Bongino. He's on Fox News all the time. He's a pretty big name.
Oh no, I was just kidding around with it.
Maybe people don't know him just to see him or know his name, but you could tell his credentials and stuff like that. Former Secret Service guy. But yeah, Rocky, even it's so funny. Like even if you ask people, hey, we have Rocky LaPorte coming on. Do you know who that is? Nah. Then you show a picture of him. Oh, I know that guy. Yeah. I don't know why it is. Why are some people like so well known by their look or by their stature than by their name? They're not a household name, but yet everybody knows who they are.
It's a little different nowadays. I mean, there's so much. I mean, go back 20 years ago, there weren't that many people, going on YouTube, and you didn't have the Facebook and all the social media stuff. And geez, I kind of do the same thing myself. I mean, there's people who look familiar. It's unless it's somebody who really affects me. I may remember their name, but I was the same thing when you brought his name up. I'm like, name sounds familiar. Yeah. And I go and I see a photo of him. I'm like, oh, that's right. He's good friends with Tim Allen, and he's done some things with him. So
yeah, I first saw Rocky at the Funny Bone, and we'll probably revisit this when he comes on back in the 90s. And I just remember, I mean, we talked about it for weeks and months and probably even years, like a reference. Hey, remember that guy was at the Funny Bone and did this or did that? And between me and my sister, it's he's just a funny guy. In my personal opinion, top 2. He's one of the top 2 comics. I'm going to put it in the top 2. He's in the top 2 of funniest guys out there doing stand up right now. And I know he won some sort of award where, funniest stand up comic on earth or something like that. I don't know. Maybe if you go to Mars or Pluto or Pluto's not a planet anymore, huh? Well, who knows? One day it is, one day it's not. Maybe on another planet it's somebody else. Maybe you could be the funniest guy on Venus. Who knows?
That's what I'm figuring. Uranus would be that'd
be the one more fitting for
or one of Saturn's moons or something like that.
Well, with my luck, I'll go to Uranus to watch a good comedy show, and there'll be like hemorrhoids. You
have to leave now if you want to get there by the time you're 80.
Hey, I don't know. We're developing tricks to travel faster through space. I know NASA's working on some stuff. That brings up a good topic. I know we've talked a little bit about some stuff on this show, but what really fascinates me, I talk to my kids about this all the time, is the things that are unknown. I watch so many programs about things that are unknown, not just like paranormal or UFO or Bigfoot and stuff like that, but it's like if something is plausible or there's some evidence to it and we're researching it and they're putting scientists to it. I'm watching that, Skinwalker Ranch thing where they have all kind of scientists trying to figure out what the heck's going on in that show in that area in Utah and that ranch, and just some weird stuff going on there. And I'm like, that fascinates me because, so many people like want to dismiss things. That's this, that's that, or whatever. That's a bunch of malarkey. But, if there's scientists looking at it and they don't know what the hell's going on, that fascinates me. It just does. So, and I think that you could probably pretty much put, all those things that I talked about in that category. And, I've had my own personal experience and we've talked about this on the show and stuff before, but, I just like the unknown that, not like this show. Would you classify this show as paranormal?
Probably more likely unknown.
We're working on it, man. We're just two schleps from Pittsburgh. We're working on it. And, we have better guests on the show, like Rocky coming up. Hopefully that helps with the ratings and such. So, you got, let's talk a little bit about on our time off here. You recorded an EP, which, by the way, your light looks really dark.
Well, that's because I was working off the natural light here, and obviously it's getting darker out there. So just you want to give me a second? You want me to get some light on?
Well, I'll entertain the crowd while you go away. This is, we're not live, folks, but I don't like doing editing. I don't like doing cuts and all this other stuff. We try to do our show on natural with no cutaways and stuff like that. Most other podcasts you watch, they'll freeze and then cut and then come right back and be slightly in a different position, but something was cut out. That's not what we're about. I just let it keep rolling. Why not?
Yeah, I'm sure that was thrilling for everybody to see too.
Yeah. So anyways, while we had our little hiatus, you ended up recording a little EP. And I know you're not equipped there to give us a preview, but why don't you talk a little bit about it, and we'll give it a little plug.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think we've finally come up with the date for August the 12th for it to be released, and it's kind of a little different than probably most acoustic music. It was recorded in a manner to sound, which isn't easy because you could hear every little thing, is to sound like I'm sitting on somebody's couch with a guitar and I'm singing these songs to them. And they're definitely more relationship, love related. If you listen to the tracks all the way through, they sort of loosely tell a story. So there's not, I think I overdubbed about 30 seconds of extra guitar between all 5 songs. So it's pretty much just one acoustic guitar track and my vocals. And there's not all this delay and compression and everything on it. It gives that sort of intimate feel. And it's called Just Me and Hopefully You. And I'm actually excited for it to come out. I mean, I wanted it to be out a little sooner. There's a couple of things that I had no control over, but I just want people to listen to it. I'm hoping we could, get get the video out for one of the songs, Probably Your Scars Are Beautiful, a few weeks, at least 2 weeks before it's available everywhere else. And
where's it going to be available for people to get?
Everywhere. I mean, it's going to be on all the streaming services.
How about National Record Mart? Is it going to be there?
If there's one left, I'll stand outside on the 12th from noon to 3 p.m. Eastern time.
How about Sam Goody's? Goody's got it, right? He's always got it.
I haven't decided to do any CDs or not. I don't know if there's really that. I mean, I'm actually just giving this to people. I mean, it's nowadays you're to the point to where unless you're somebody really famous, if you're going to sell it, I mean, okay, you'll make a few dollars, not that much to change your way of life or anything like that, and you get this segment to listen to it. But if you give it to everybody, and my goal is for some publishers to see the songwriting behind it, because it's very deep lyrics and things like that. And I'd rather have this many people listen to it and, just give it to people. As far as a CD, if I end up doing that, I'm going to have to ask. Actually, I'll ask the people that actually follow me, and if there's an interest, maybe do a small batch. But I'm only going to sell it for probably $5 or $6, whatever it costs to make the CD, put the label, the case, and the shipping to send it to somebody, and not make any profit. And if I'm lucky, I'll make a few dollars from the streaming. I would
like to have an autographed digital copy.
Yeah, I think we looked into, well, if I autographed the CD would probably be $5 or $6 to keep it at cost and not make any money off it. I think that we ran the figures. If I was to actually autograph it for somebody, I think I actually sent them the CD in $2.
Right.
It does, it actually is worth negative money, and I have to pay you to take it. But I do like it. I usually don't listen to a lot of my own music. I listen to it once or twice, or once in a blue moon. I'll nitpick it and everything like that. And I'm listening to this, and I just really like it. I listen to it. God damn, I really like this. If anybody who's into acoustic type music, something that has a nice intimate feel, vocals are forward. It's deep. I think people are really going to like it. It's been done really well. Chip Dominic, who I went to his little small studio to record this because he was interested in working with me, and it came out great. I'm very happy. Very happy.
Awesome.
With it.
That's great. Yeah, I can't wait for the people to hear it, because obviously I've heard the songs, and it's the big M Raw is what it is.
A lot different than anything I've ever done before. That's for sure.
Yeah, I would say so. So, we'll count this as a unofficial Blabber boast. How's that? We're probably going to have a shorter segment than usual. So, is there anything you want to, besides your recording, anything you want to boast about?
Well, you know what? Yeah, these people have been really good to me. I got this hat from.
All right, hold on a second. Let's cue it up first. We got to make it official.
Blabber boast.
All right, go ahead. What do you got?
My friends over at the Willow Lane Hat Company online store, fantastic hats. Not just cowboy hats, baseball caps, other attire for, it's just not just cowboy. There's straw hats, everything. And they're actually very high quality, reasonably priced. I mean, it's not a $10 hat that you buy at Walmart, but right. Some of the better cowboy hats, they're several hundreds of dollars, or you might have to actually pay up front to have a session for somebody to measure your head and talk to you about all this stuff. These guys do a great thing on my Facebook and Instagram profile photo. I'm wearing one of their hats. They sent me over this one here for the 4th of July. I'm actually playing
a
private gig on.
So what's the name of the company again?
It is Willow Lane Hat Company. Willow Lane Hat CO. Period. And tell them Mark.
We'll flash a URL up on the screen.
Yeah, and definitely tell them Mark Anthony sent you. They might just might hook you up. But they're really nice hats, and I'm gonna probably wear this on Sunday. Well, I guess Sunday. Nobody's listening to this and watching it live. 3rd of July, I'm doing a private gig, and think I'm going to wear this hat. It's going to be a sauna outside, but I'm going to be outdoors, but I think I'm going to wear it anyhow.
Okay, right now it's a sauna in my office right here. It's the AC is out, so it's like 90 degrees in here. Literally, I got fans blowing on me. So apologize if you hear like noise in the background. It's fans blowing on me, blowing hot air on me is what it is. But that's the other reason for wearing the hat. I think, I'll wear the hat and it'll make it cover up the sweat that's going to be pouring off my head. So at any time. So anyways, you know what? There was a couple things I wanted to boast about. And, I was thinking about it on the way here and I'm like, crap, it slipped my mind what the heck I wanted to boast about. So that's why I thought I would talk about your new recording and stuff like that. Because, a lot of this stuff, as we told before, it's not paid advertisement. We're just boasting about it because we like it. But I want to give him a good shout out to my buddy John Bryant, JB3, and his company Lynx Brewing. If you're ever on the golf course where they have this beer, because it's only sold at golf courses. I'm not sure if it's just country clubs or golf courses, but they got they're expanding their selection of beer. We'll put the URL up here and their Instagram and stuff. Check them out. If they're selling it in a place where you happen to be golfing, then definitely pick it up and give it a try. It's some really awesome beer. So that'll end this segment of
Blabberboast.
All right. So we'll take a short break here. And like I said, I'm trying to keep this segment a little bit shorter so we can leave a little bit more time for Rocky. I'm going to dry my head off. It's soaking wet under this hat. And we'll be back with Rocky LaPorte.
Blabberbrains.
Hey, how you doing, everybody? Good. Bon Jovi. Listen to my week. I had to go to court on Tuesday. My freaking lawyer don't show up. I end up in front of this judge. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. He comes up to me, he goes, do you have counsel? I go, no, I got a stick shift.
Welcome back to Blabberbrain Show. You saw a little clip there of the amazing Rocky LaPorte. He was up in Canada there trying a little Canadian humor on the audience there. Thankfully, it worked. So welcome to the show, Rocky.
Good to be here, guys. Hey.
Big applause. And we've had a couple false starts to get you on here. I know. I appreciate you clearing the schedule to come on the show. I think the first thing I want to address is a big problem we have with you in Pittsburgh, and that's you.
What did I do now?
you don't show up here enough. I mean, how often do you play Pittsburgh? Like never. We have an improv here, a really nice improv. A lot of comedians come to. I don't see Rocky LaPorte's name on the marquee.
Yeah, you're in Erie, but you can't come to Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
you know what?
Erie's like this big.
Yeah, you want to know? Right before I was in Zelienople. Is that how you say it?
Zelienople.
Yeah, Zelienople.
Yeah, I did 2 gigs there at that little theater, and we sold out. But I don't know who's running the improv now. It's just so hard to get in. Like, I love Pittsburgh. And
right.
I used to play the old Funny Bone there at Station Square.
I know. That's the first place I saw you.
Is that right?
It's not there anymore. But that's the very first time I saw you. I think that was back in the 90s.
Yeah.
I tell you, I was just telling Mark in the first segment, I said the first time me and my sister and some friends went out to see you, we were talking about it for weeks, months. We were even like quoting some of your act like for like a long time after. Hey, remember that guy at the Funny Bone? It was just the funniest thing in the world. That's
thank you.
My first time seeing you in the 90s. That's what made me a fan, just seeing you for the first time down there. So, but
thanks, Mike.
Yeah, the funny thing is the Funny Bone used to be at another location closer to my house. And the building was owned by these guys called the Levitsky brothers. You want to talk about the mafia? Hey, the Levitsky brothers.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
And that building, I think they moved down to Station Square sometime in the 80s.
Right.
The place where the Funny Bone used to be has been vacant ever since, and they still have their name up, like they want to rent it out and
Yep.
stuff like. They're very
Is
patient.
that right?
They're very patient.
Wait,
Yeah.
I think one of the Steelers had a place like right across the street from it, right? Like I forgot who it was, the player at the time. And there was like
that was Rod Woodson. Yeah, Rod.
Oh, that's
Woodson.
it. Ron Woodson. Yeah.
Yeah, Rod. Yeah. But yeah, that's the first time I ever saw you. So we got to, Mark, who do we know over at the Improv? Anybody?
No, we don't actually.
No, we don't have any connections. Up there.
I don't.
Three of us.
You know, frankly, I was always a bigger fan of the Funny Bone here in Pittsburgh. I thought that was just a cool place because everything was set up. It was just like you were hanging out there. I mean, the stage was nice and short, and it felt more personal to see somebody like yourself come in here and do your act. And it's just, I don't know, it just was such a better experience than. It's almost a little too corporate to me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there was another bigger place up in Robinson where they had like everything. They had bowling, they had a cigar bar, they had a comedy club. We saw Louis Anderson there, God rest his soul. But that place was short lived. But anyways, we got to get you back to Pittsburgh somehow. Not Zelienople. Nobody goes up to Zelienople. Nobody wants to go up the area either. But Pittsburgh loves you. We want to get you back here, and we got to find a way to make that happen. Because I love
Pittsburgh.
I'm not driving to Chicago.
I don't know. You guys always treated me great there, and I'm gonna tell my agent I'm gonna push to get back to Pittsburgh because
we'll promote it for
really
you.
like coming.
We'll definitely,
yeah, we'll
come back in again, and we'll promote your gig right here, right around the tri-state area.
Yeah, we have our viewers are far and wide, but the bulk of our viewers and listeners are in the Pittsburgh area, so we'll promote the heck out of it. So, anyways,
thanks, man. I appreciate that. That'd be good.
There's about a billion questions I want to ask you. It says what we do on this show is I usually like to dig deep into things that I want to know about people and stuff. So I know that, and a lot of this stuff is already commonly known and stuff, but you grew up in where? In Brooklyn?
I kind of grew up in both Chicago and New York. I consider Chicago my home. Right. But I love Brooklyn. I had a lot of friends and relatives there, and yeah, it's a good city. Well, because they're revamping it too. That's how, Cleveland. Remember how Cleveland used to be? I know you guys hate Cleveland, but here's something funny. I was just I played at Hilarities in Cleveland. It's a nice club. It's a theater club, and the last time I went there, they made me this bat. They gave me this bat. It's beautiful. Wow. And check this out. They put a Chicago Bears thing, and it says Hilarities in my name.
Wow.
And I'm not even making this up. The next time I went, they gave me like engraved like wooden brass knuckles, like for every time I go to Cleveland, they're giving me a weapon. I'm like, is it that bad there? Or is somebody after me? Maybe someone from Pittsburgh lives there that wants to.
Maybe they just trust you with the weapons. Who knows? They just seem like that. The reason I'm saying that is because I remember when I first saw you back in the day, you really seemed to have like a thicker New York accent, and now you kind of got this quasi. It's a mashup of like Chicago and New York accent going on. So I think that's probably just territorial from being in both places. But like, have you the bulk of your like last 20 years lived in Chicago? I'm guessing, right?
Yeah. Well, I was out in LA for like 14 years.
Oh, really?
And then, and then I moved back to Chicago about maybe 8-9 years ago. I've been back here, and when I started out, I was like my cadence was a lot slower and lower. And I think I was going slower because I didn't have that much material. So I had to stretch it out.
I had to drag it out. Well, I mean, that's what works for you. I mean, I seem to recall like the first time I saw you, like you barely said anything, and the audience is sitting there laughing for like 10 minutes, and like you barely said anything.
I remember. I remember I did an evening at the Improv, and I went up there, and all I said was, hey, how you doing? And people they laughed at that for like 5 minutes. I'm like, okay, this is good. So I think my character, if you can call it that, developed before my writing did. Like I think people were laughing at. Like when you see like Barney Fife or Rodney Dangerfield, you just start laughing at him because you go, oh, this guy's, he's missing the boat here, you know?
Nah. Yeah, probably at that point in time, before you get into any material, it doesn't matter if you're a good writer or not. So I think once you start learning how to write and you're writing great material and you pair those both together, it's like golden. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it took me 33 years to figure that out. So,
well, whatever. Good. I mean, like I said, I put you up there in my personal top 2 favorite active comedians out there right now. So,
well, thank you, man. That's very kind. I appreciate that.
So which came first, like the idea, like were you, I mean, a lot of comedians are just like, you know, people tell them, oh, you're funny, you should do something about it, whatever. And then is it just like, because maybe they figured you're a funny guy. So is it like a process of like, okay, I'm a funny guy, so I'm going to go do funny guy stuff. But then you're like, wait a second, I got to write some stuff. And then you figure out how to write it. Did you have a writing partner? Did you just try to figure it out yourself?
You know, I think it hit me when I was a kid. I remember being maybe 6 or 7, and we're sitting around the table with all my aunts and uncles are there. And I don't remember what I was exactly but I remember I had them laughing so much that they were crying. And I remember I felt like I had magic, or like I could do a magic trick. And cause it amazed me. And I was like, oh, what a neat thing to have. Like, I felt like, not power. I don't know what you would call it, you know, but maybe like a gift, I guess, you know? And, I just thought, what a great, plus it got me out of a lot of trouble every time I, you know,
smart Alex.
If I can make my, you know, parents laugh, they wouldn't beat the piss out of me.
Right.
So, that helped a lot. And
back in the day where they could hit the piss out of you. So
yeah, exactly. That was the thing. The neighbors could hit you, like the neighbors,
everybody.
Yeah, there was no. But I remember at my sister's wedding, I had 3 older sisters, and one of them got married, and I was probably like 7 or 8. And back then they had live bands at the wedding. Do you remember that? They would have a live band.
Yeah.
Well, they had a tip jar up there, so you can go up and request songs, you know. So I kept going around asking the adults for, you know, a couple dollars but I'm going up there and I go, hey, the bride wants to hear, Batman. She wants to hear the Batman theme song. And I had these guys playing Rawhide and Batman. And I go, you guys know the bride wants to hear Green Hornet. And and it was just so funny and then finally the band's like, what the fuck? You know, and finally everybody's going like, what the hell's going on? And I remember being in the corner laughing, just like I had all these idiots fooled, you know, like that.
It was an inside joke with you.
Yeah, pretty much. I was the only one laughing.
That's funny.
How stupid is the band that go along with, you know what I mean? Like they got some 7-year-old kids telling them to play, the bride wants to hear Batman, so they say okay.
I'm surprised they actually knew what you requested. I mean, it's pretty amazing.
Well, I've known a lot of wedding bands, and they're pretty versatile in what they know and stuff like this, and they'll try just about anything. So yeah,
because they play bar mitzvahs and polkas and everything. So they
but they're probably not playing Batman at any of those things.
They're Rawhide at the
wedding. Unless it's in Texas or something, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's another side of it too. It's not just knowing that you're funny or being able to tell jokes or be a funny person. Because I've done a few open mic nights, and like I'm a musician, and I do other things, entertainment. I've acted and everything like this. Like if I'm acting on camera, if on stage, or if I'm playing in a band and playing on stage, there's a comfort level. But there was this such an uneasy feeling of you're all up on stage all by yourself. And even though I know I could be funny and I know I could be getting some good feedback, it was this terrifying thing of like, I'm naked. I'm up here by myself. And unless you got that super comfort level to be up there delivering that stuff, you're probably not in the right field. So when did you develop that comfort level to be up there in front of people? Was it natural right from the get-go?
I think so. I remember the very first time I went on stage, I cried. It was like a drug, man. I guess they say chasing the dragon.
Right.
That's kind of how I killed, and I didn't even know what I was doing. And the owner of the club, he goes, how long you been doing comedy? And I said, about 5 minutes. And he goes, you want to come back this weekend? And I go, yeah. So it just took off like that. Like I was hooked like right from the start. And I knew I love to make people laugh. But I remember one time I was down in Mississippi and I was opening for Hootie and the Blowfish.
Wow.
And they didn't want to see me. Like, nobody wants to see a comic in front of a band, Sometimes it works, but sometimes it don't. And man, they're just yelling, where's Hootie? And they're booing me. And I'm telling them to shut up. And they kind of were dressed how like you guys are dressed now.
That would make sense.
Good old boys. Yeah.
Good old boys.
So I mean, and then even the guys from Hootie, and they go, man, I don't know how you do it. Like, you're up there without a net and it's just you. He said, when we were coming up in bars and people were talking and stuff, we just played like we're in the garage and then we were all together. We had a team, and I've had a few people say that. I got to meet on my Facebook page. If you look on there, I have on my personal one, the lady on there with me. That was Talia Shire, who played Adrian in all the Rocky movies.
Right?
Yeah, she
Rocky
was
and
in
Adrian.
yeah, and she was in the Godfather movies and everything.
Yep.
And I'm trying to ask her, and she's asking me about, how is that doing? Like, is it hard doing comedy? And it's like, she goes, I admire that, and I'm like, I was trying to ask her questions about her,
Right.
And she just thought that comedy was amazing and it was just such a hard thing. But you know what, man, I've seen huge comic bomb, like, George Carlin and Richard Jenny and these are great comics. And I don't know, if it was easy, anyone could do it, but it ain't,
absolutely. Yeah. Well,
it's a rough gig.
It's a very rough gig. I mean, like I said, you have to have that sort of comfort level to, not only just that, but I was just watching this girl comic on America's Got Talent, and she's in the middle of her routine, and Sofia Vergara start throwing stuff out there, talking to her like it's a conversation, like breaking up her routine. And she just went with it. She had an answer for her that was funny and then just kept going with her routine. I'm like, man, that was slick. That was smooth.
The judges are heckling her.
Right. Well, they're not, she wasn't heckling. She just forgot she was in a routine. Is like, she's talking about her mother. He's like, oh, your mother. He's asking a question about her mother. And it's like, it's just like, just let her do her act, for crying out loud. But she did it with it was like butter, man. She just not only did she respond to her and it was funny, that she just kept going right with her act. And that's
wow. Who was
a tough
that
thing to do. I don't
do you
remember
her name.
I don't remember her name, but you'll see her again because she made it through. And she's just a funny lady. So yeah, she'll be back again. But
and this is recently?
Recently. It was just on the last, not this week's episode, I think last week's episode. But so she'll probably, when they go to the next round, she'll probably be there again. But that just reminds me too. Like I was talking years ago, talking about the Improv. I saw Brian Regan there, and was talking with him afterwards. And which, by the way, the two of you are my top two favorite comics.
Oh, thanks, man. Thank you.
And somebody else was working. He had 5 shows there, and somebody else was working all 5 shows. And he said, I've been here for all 5 shows, and all 5 of your shows were different. How in the world could you possibly put on 5 different shows? And he says, well, to be honest with you, he says, I've got like a million routines in my head and I never know what I'm going to say until I get on stage. How is that possible? Like, wow. I mean, if you're a comic, don't you have to have things pretty well planned out? I mean, is that like on another level where he just like doesn't know, like whatever comes to his head, he's just rolling with it? That's weird.
Yeah, I think there's only a few guys that are like that. Like, and that to me, that's hard. I don't know. Like some of my friends that used to do more crowd work, I go, but I like doing my act and the jokes that I wrote, because sometimes you go into the crowd, it's kind of like improv. It's hit or miss. You know what I mean? Like sometimes the crowd, and you don't want to open up a drunk crowd, like let them start yelling stuff out and stuff like that. You don't want to ask questions too many with a crowd like that. But I admire those guys like that. And there's only a few guys that I ever knew that had that much material. It was like Brian Regan and Richard Jenny and, guys like that. George Carlin. I think he had 10 1-hour specials.
Yeah. Right? He had a lot. Right. Yep. He had a lot. But I mean, like on your Comedy Central special, you were kind of interacting with the audience, and someone would say, like, what do you do? And they're like, hey, well, I have
I got an
run
uncle.
ice cream parlor. You're like, hey, my uncle had an ice cream parlor. It was called Eat This. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was funny.
Oh,
But there's only so many times you can do that too, right? You know what I mean? Like, but you pretty much, like, the funny thing about that is almost like whatever someone does for a living, you could probably come up with something, unless someone says, I'm a rocket scientist or something like that.
Oh, right.
Maybe there's something you can do there, but boy,
Or
you
a rape counselor or something like that.
Yeah, rate
man.
this. You can't say that. You know what I mean? So I mean,
I'd be canceled immediately.
I think somewhere in your act you even said this is harder than it looks. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I get what you're saying. If you're gonna do that, you got, I mean, like Howie Mandel, like, commits to that. Like, he's always interacting with people in the audience, and that's like almost his whole entire act is talking with the audience and stuff like that. But and I guess there's, just like music, just like acting, just like any other form of entertainment, there's more than one way to do it. You know what I mean? So, and I think the majority of comedians say, I've written this is my material. This is what I'm going with. I'm going on stage and I'm going to perform it and I'm going to kill.
Yeah.
And that works for them. And the other ways the other people do it works for them. So, I noticed one other thing too, that, Jackie Gleason said one time, and I'm going to butcher this statement, but he said, that there have been many good, comics who have become great actors, but there's never been a great actor that has become a good comic. Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah. I think the only one that I could think of is Robert De Niro. When he went from doing all that, Taxi to was a taxi driver. Remember, I think he was a killer in there. And then he went to Meet the Fockers, and he was actually
I'm
pretty
talking about
funny.
doing stand-up comedy. I think what he was referring to was
stand-up.
like the stand-up. There's been great stand-up comics that have become good actors, great actors, and maybe even good comic. I mean, there have been people that go. I mean, Leslie Nielsen is another one that comes to mind. So serious until he did Airplane. Then once he did Airplane, then he never did serious again. Lloyd Bridges is the same way. You know what I mean? Yeah. So there's been a lot of people like that, but I don't think that's what he was talking about. I think he was talking about comics, not comedians. There's a difference between a comic and a comedian, right?
Yeah, and that's a good point. I thought you were saying like in the acting, going from serious to a
no, because I think there's been people that do that, but like there's like Jim Carrey, for instance. He nothing but stand up, and then he started acting, right? I'm not saying he's a brilliant actor, but he's done pretty well for himself, But there's been a lot of people that have done that. Yeah. Is that like I said, when you're up on stage and you're doing your act, you're just doing that. Only it's stuff that you've written. When you're acting in front of a camera, you're doing something that somebody else wrote. Right. It's kind of like a one-to-one transition. So if you can do what you're doing really well, you should be able to pull it off in front of the camera, acting and doing something that somebody else wrote and stuff. Is that a correlation, do you think? Or is it just the person themselves is that special that they can move that over?
Yeah. I've worked with a couple guys. That's all they do is crowd work. And I go, wow, like not only is it ballsy, and hard to do, but I don't know. It just seems like they're good at that. Like, but I only think there's a few people that can do that. Ron White actually said something that I believe is true. He goes, you can teach people how to fly a plane, like be a pilot, and you can teach someone how to be a brain surgeon. He goes, but I don't think you can teach someone to be funny. And I think that's true. Like that's like you have to have that in you. You can't get a guy off the street and go, hey, you could show them what to do, stage presence, how to write a joke, all that junk. But if you don't have that in you, I don't think anybody can do comedy, just anybody, Well, besides
trying to make people laugh, is there comedy 101? Is there, here's what you have to do first? I mean, like I said, is there a process that says comedy 101 says you first have to do this, then that, or is it just different for everybody, whatever works for you?
I think it's got to be in you, like my father and my brother, they can look at you guys with a pencil and a pad and they can draw you. They're both unbelievable artists.
Right.
I draw stick people still.
Yeah.
If you told me to draw some, you would think about a third grader did it.
Right.
Like that's how, but they got that gift, and it skipped me, but I ended up getting the funny gene, I think, because, they weren't that. My dad was a kind of funny. He was a quiet guy, but I think that's like a thing you have to have, like you're a musician, not a lot of, what do you play, by the way?
I play bass and drums.
Oh, do you? Yeah.
Yeah. Mark plays the guitar.
Oh, yeah. Is that right?
Yeah. He's a really good singer. He's got a new EP. We were just talking about it earlier. He just recorded a new EP that'll be out soon. And he's really good. We should check him out.
Oh, absolutely. I will. But he talks too much. This guy never shuts up.
This is Mike's show. I'm just kind of a cheap sidekick here. That's about it.
Yeah, he's the Ed McMahon.
Yeah, that's about it. I go when he says something that's not funny, I go, good one, Mike.
Oh, that's funny.
No, he does chime in sometimes with some good questions and stuff like that. So,
but don't you think that, Rocky, when you're discussing how somebody who's an actor becoming a comedian, how that has worked, don't you think a lot of it has to do with the fact that most of you guys have dealt with the fact of doing an open stage night, going on at 1:45 when there's 5 people there, and I've already heard every related joke that you had, and now you have to come up with something, and you got to keep coming back to move yourself slowly, kind of from going on at 1 o'clock in the morning to going on at 11 o'clock to going on early and things like that. And I don't think you could, if you haven't done, just like a musician, you see a lot of famous actors become musicians, but I don't see, or they were musicians, but they didn't do the whole thing of, showing up for a gig and seeing no cars in a parking lot, not getting paid at the end of the night, or all those things. I mean, they have talent, but I don't ever remember the Bacon brothers going on tour and selling out arenas, I just think it's a different skill set, that just because you could act doesn't mean you could do what you've done. It's to me, it's just like sort of almost in a sense, a lot of times like with American Idol and things like that, they get somebody that's done karaoke at a local bar to give them a record contract, and 100 people buy it and that's it.
Yeah.
Versus somebody who's actually suffered, and, got abused, if you want to say, didn't get paid, had to come up and make the sacrifice to get there.
Well, I think it also works the way too. Like I made a comment, and of course, it's one of these, when you make a comment of something that will never happen, you'll never know the answer for. So I forget there's a definition for that. But like I said, speaking of Sofia Vergara, she's a very, very funny woman. I don't know that she could do stand up. I don't know if she'd be the same doing stand up, but she's even like Lucille Ball. Lucille Ball is hysterical, but I don't think she could do stand up comedy. Yeah. So there's a difference between a comic and a comedian, right?
Yeah.
And a comic is someone who knows how to be funny, and they can be funny on camera, they can be funny on demand, they can repeat other people's dialogue in a funny way because they're just a funny person. And then there's a comic that that stands up on stage by themselves, either writes their material or has a partner or something like this, and you're just there and you do it by yourself and it's all you. And that is so much harder to do, I think. So I anybody should admire a stand-up comic.
Absolutely.
for just the ability to do what you do for a living, because it's not easy.
No, it feels like, it's like being in the ring. You know what I mean? You're in there by yourself, and sometimes you get kicked in the balls, and you go home, you're like, man, what the hell was that? Everybody has those crowds. You're like, wow, like why? There's just some nights they're not buying what you're selling, and I love George Carlin, but I seen him in Reno one time, and there was about 1,200 people. He walked about 300 people. About 300 people left.
Wow.
Yeah, and I forgot. You know what I mean? A guy like that has a bad show. That's
right. That says something, right? Now, yeah. I mean, I know you've done a little bit of acting, and funny. I think about a year or two ago, I recall watching an old rerun of Cheers, and I think you were on an episode of Cheers as an extra, or a guy that came into the bar or something like that. Were you a construction worker? I can't remember.
Yeah,
I can't remember. But you did the Shaggy Dog and stuff like that. But totally different scenario. But
I still get residuals from that, from Cheers. Like
that's great.
Yeah, like I get like $3 every year.
I was still paying off though. You know what I mean? Yeah. But if gas wasn't so expensive, I'd buy a gallon of gas. But
I used to do a joke of my friends go, "Hey, you could do this joke again." I think I did it on a Tonight Show. I was talking about is gas high enough, and I go, I'm in the gas station, and the guy goes, "Fill it up." And I go, "No, just give me $90 worth." I go, that way I got 10 left for a Starbucks.
And that would definitely work today.
Yeah, but I don't even think $90. You might even get like half a tank, right? It's like,
if you got a truck, yeah, or something like, or if you're out in California or something like that. But yeah, it's ridiculous. But I've always thought that you should be on a sitcom or something. Like there should be like, did anybody approach you to build a sitcom around you or something?
Yeah, you know what? I had a development deal with CBS, and then that year the writers went on strike.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
So they put on reruns, and then I don't know how many few years maybe 8 years after that or something like that. I had another development deal to do a sitcom with ABC, and the writers went on strike.
Oh man, you can't win.
I think I'm toxic to Hollywood. Like every time I do, they go, "Oh, let's shut it down. This idiot's got a deal." So then they just started putting on all those reality shows, like which were.
Yeah. I buy into them. So.
Oh, do you? Yeah.
Most of the ones like on History Channel and Discovery Channel and stuff like that, but not like the Big Brother and
you don't watch the Kardashians? Like, come on, you guys are like Kardashian
guys.
My daughter does.
I'm like,
my daughter watches that show. I'm like, what do you see in this show, for crying out loud? It's not even close to reality, as they call reality TV. That's not even close to reality.
No.
But have you had a desire to do more acting, or you just want to stick to what's working for you?
No, I'd love to. I liked movies better than sitcom acting. Like, I'd really like to be in movies. But once everything kind of hit, like everybody moved out of LA, like Kathleen, Madigan, Brian Regan, I think because of COVID and reality shows, there was really no more of those, like Everybody Loves Raymond or Tool Time, where you can get guest sets on a show like that. That kind of disappeared, now they want you being naked and, climbing up a tree for a coconut,
and dropping an F-bomb every 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Even like some of the sitcoms that Netflix has tried to do has just been really lame, even with good actors. It's just, I watch like an episode. I'm like, who's writing this stuff? It's so stupid. And you get good actors doing this stuff. And I'm like, there's nothing worse than having a really good actor deliver really bad lines. Like I tried to make it through Morning Show with Steve Carell and Jennifer Aniston, because they're really good actors. Mm-hmm. And I know everybody seems to be loving that show, but I'm like watching that show and I'm like, this is horrible dialogue. It's really good actors delivering bad lines. I couldn't watch it.
Wow.
It just didn't seem natural. And every other word is F this, F that. And
is that right?
It just didn't seem natural. But that's the other thing too. And it's not the reason why, like, you and Brian are my two favorite comedians, but you're by and large pretty clean with your act. You don't rely on that stuff. And that's in today's day and age, in the last 30 years, that's really tough to do and is that a conscious effort, or is that just who you are? I mean,
no, I always wanted to work clean because, you have more opportunities, for, regular like TV and, corporate gigs. And, you can make it a corporate gig where you make it a week or two in a club, and you're not playing all drunk idiots and, getting up early doing press after, doing shows every night. The road's a grind, so, yeah. And you know what? I'm not a political guy at all. Like I grew up in Chicago, which I think we had 4 governors that went to prison, and I swear to God, there was a thing here in the 70s. It was called Grey Lord. It was an FBI sting operation.
Right.
I think they locked up 20 Chicago judges because they were taking, you can buy your way out of murder here in the old, you get 10 grand, you get out of a murder rap. Like Chicago was so corrupt. Right. So I always hated politics. But that Mike Huckabee I think he ran for president, and he was governor.
He was governor of Louisiana, right?
Louisiana. And his daughter was that Sarah Huckabee, the one she was like Trump spokesman. So anyway, he's got this show. It's on the Trinity Broadcast Network down there in Nashville.
Right.
And they said, hey, you can't even say if you've been divorced. Like, they're that
clean,
tight. Yeah.
Right.
So I did this show, and I was supposed to be at Zany's on Sunday night, and we shot that show on. They ran it Friday and Saturday right before I went to Zany's, and my ticket sales jumped by like 125 just from being on this little Christian show and being clean. Wow! And I'm like, hey, you get your fans wherever you can get them.
Okay,
absolutely.
Yeah. And they invited me back to do another one. And I'm like, hey, like, what the hell? Some of those people, they do those church. I'm not church clean, but I guess for what they pay those people, you can be church clean, like you'll make it happen.
Well, you're bound to get another 7 or 8 fans off of this show too. So no,
no, double digits pretty soon.
Yeah, we get some decent viewers on our show. So yeah, I'm sure that the funny thing is, it's like, and I come across this all the time, and it's not just you, it's so many people. And I think Mark and I were talking about this before we came on with our first segment is, if you ask someone, hey, did you ever hear of Rocky LaPorte? And they're like, I don't know if I ever heard. But then you show them a picture of you or a video of you. You're like, oh, I know that guy. So I guess it's just that hard to become a household name. But even though people know exactly who you are and have heard you and have seen you, but it's like putting a face to the name as soon as you throw it out there. Like, I guess that's really difficult to do. I mean, you've been around a while.
Yeah, I'm the best kept secret in comedy.
I mean, and I guess, sometimes it's generational, but other times it's just not. I mean, I've come across this with a lot of people, and it's like, hey, have you heard of so-and-so? No, but they did this, they did that, they did. Oh yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. And maybe maybe I pay attention more than other people. I guess I don't know, but
sometimes people will go, hey, like, do I know you, or where did I see you from? Or, most of the time they think I'm like a plumber or a garbage man or something like that.
But I mean, I think that's where I was going with my questions, is the fact that because you're not necessarily like, everybody doesn't know your name, but they have seen you and they know who you are and stuff like this. Is it harder like to be in public, or do you still just have that regular, Italian looking guy that you can blend in? But I would think that you would get, stopped all the time.
Sometimes in airports it'll happen, or there's a lot of people out there that are comedy fans. They're really big, they go to shows every week or two, and, and they're fans of comedy. And, a lot of people go, man, like you should have, you should be bigger. You should have, and I'm like, I wish the same thing, but sometimes you got, it's a little bit of luck, right place, right time. And I've seen, I don't want to bash anybody, but like I've seen comics make it huge that weren't funny at all. Like, right. I don't know how the hell that happened.
Yeah.
But,
I can think of a couple.
Yeah. I'm not going to name names.
Yeah, I know here, right?
Yeah. And if you say, then it looks like it's like your sour grapes or whatever, but it's just like saying like, I didn't like this movie, it would be the same thing. Go, oh, I didn't think it was that good, where other people did. But if you say that about another comic, then they go, oh, well, you're jealous, and I'm not jealous. I'm happy for all my friends' success that made it.
Right.
But there's other people I'm like, how the hell did that happen? Like, I don't get it, but.
I have two things to add to that. First of all, what's your definition of success? I mean, you're doing what you love doing for a living, and you've been doing it for a long time. I would call that being pretty successful. Have you been in 30 movies and been on 30 different TV shows? No, but I mean, like I said, everybody has a different level of that. But the other side of that is, I would respond to those people like, what, am I dead yet? I still got a lot of life left in me. You don't know what's going to happen in my life. I don't know what's going to happen in my life. I could explode tomorrow, or I could be in the next big hit or whatever. And next thing you know, everybody knows who everybody has their time, and there's a plan. I think you're doing exactly what you're called to do. my beliefs are, if God wants you to be more successful, he'll open up other doors and there'll be other things waiting there for you. But,
you're right.
Somebody
asked me to go, where do you think you're at right now in your career? And I'm like, I go, it's late in the fourth quarter and I'm down by 20.
Like the Bears usually.
I need a couple Hail Marys. Yeah.
No, you're still writing your story, right? You're still in the midst of writing your story. So, and put it this way, if this is as good as it gets, is it that bad?
Well, what's so weird? About 3 or 4 weeks ago, Bud Friedman's daughter asked me, hey, it's Bud was turning 90. And she goes, and I was honored to be included in that, to send a video and, wish Bud a happy birthday. And I told him, I go, hey, Bud, I want to thank you because, you made it possible for me to make a living for 33 years doing comedy. I raised a family on it and, paid my rent and, so like guys like that, that made me feel good to be included in that circle, because they asked like Jay Leno and like a lot of big names, so, and I always want to like respect among my peers. So that's nice. Like, like Kathleen Madigan and like David Brenner said I was one of his favorite comics. And,
wow.
So there's people like that made me, that's nice. And who knows, like why, look at you guys. I remember one time David Brenner was saying on Sirius, he goes, there's some girl right now with an unbelievable voice singing in a Holiday Inn somewhere in Alabama, and she's never going to be seen. And he goes, there's a comic or a band on stage right now that are phenomenal, but they've never, they never got that break or they never got looked at. And right? You guys, right? You want to be successful.
100%.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
That's why
you don't get that break, right?
That's why I don't sleep and I do 50,000 different things. So one of those things is going to hit. So, but
there you go.
Yeah, and you never know. You don't golf, do you?
No, I golfed once. I almost killed about 6 people. It was horrible. I don't even think I was going the right way. It was just Ron White was trying to teach me how to golf, and he goes, what's your handicap? But I'm like math, science. And he's like, get back on the bus.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm writing. I just got done writing the screenplay for a golf comedy. And so I squeeze you in on a movie like that. So, I mean, it's I'll
be the groundskeeper like Bill Murray and
that could work too.
What was that, Caddyshack, right?
Yeah. He didn't golf at all in that, but yet he was a golfer. But I mean, because like I said, the movie falls apart if I don't get Patrick Warburton to do the movie. So which my plans are to give a portion of the proceeds to St. Jude Hospital because he has an annual golf outing every year. Celebrity golf outing.
Hey, let me know. Tell him if he needs a comic for that. I do a lot of things for St. Jude's. That's like my favorite charity.
Right. Oh yeah. Every year he has his organization called the Warburton. So every year he has a celebrity golf outing where he raises money for St. Jude. And that's what gave me the idea to write this screenplay, to write this comedy. It's not really faith-based, but it's about a pastor and his son. He would be the main character, the pastor in the movie. But it's not like a faith-based movie, but it's just a regular golf comedy. It just happens to be the subject matter of the thing. But so it kind of all, and a lot of them are friends of his that play in his golf outing that I like to have in the movie. So it kind of all falls apart if he doesn't do it. But I would definitely see I would even write a part in there for you to get you in the film, because I think you need more exposure like that. You need to be, in movies and TV and stuff more. I think that. I mean,
thank you. That's kind, man.
You want to sing on my next EP? Huh? You want to sing on my next EP?
Yeah.
All right, your song.
You know what happened after I got divorced? My wife and kids, they moved back to Chicago, and then I moved back. And then at the time I was burned out on Hollywood. I was just like burnt out, and that's easy to do out there. Like it's just like that city will steal your soul, Yeah,
absolutely.
And my manager wanted me to stay out there because Tim Allen really liked me, and they were going to try and get me a part on not Home Improvement, the show after that. What was the one that just got?
Yeah.
Last Man Standing.
Yeah. Last Man Standing.
Yeah, Last Man Standing.
Funny
so
show.
they were going to try
Very
and
funny
get
show.
me up. Yeah, but I didn't want to go out. You know,
Right.
he's come. Him and what's his name are doing another like Home Improvement. Did you see that?
I
That
saw it.
Richard-
Yeah, I saw
I
that.
think they just had the first episode on. I think I recorded it. It's I forget what it's on. It's on the I think on the History Channel. But yeah, they're doing things where they're kind of doing like a lot of the same things they did on Tool Time, where they're turbocharging things or beefing things up. Because I think they did another reality show where it was like a contest. They did that like for 2 seasons of that, where you had different people they had like 3 different contestants trying to build things out of the stuff that they gave them. It was like building something out of nothing, and whoever did it best won won some prizes and stuff like that. But now they're just doing this as them just being funny and whatever. So yeah, I mean, it's great that they're doing stuff like that. But speaking of, you were talking about family. You have how many? 3 sisters?
I had 3 sisters and a brother, and then I have 3 daughters and a son, and 11 grandkids.
So it must be, you must have grown up Catholic, an Italian Catholic family.
Yeah, of course. I got 11. I got a football team. We're playing the Bears a couple weeks. I think we'll beat them.
But is your real sister Joyce the one that you pick on all the time, and is she okay with that, or is that a made up sister that you have?
No, it's my actual sister, but she's not on the internet, so that's good because she'd probably kill me if she knew.
Yeah, you. I mean, I haven't seen you do anything about her in a while, but like you used to post some of the funniest stuff and just rip on her to no end. I'm like, I hope she has a great sense of humor, because some of the stuff is pretty, that's not mean. It's all in fun spirit, but if she's has thin skin, it can grate on her after a while. But then she grew up with you. She probably is familiar, like used to it.
Well, you know what happened? Well, the one thing here, like I used to just say, hey, my sister did this, my sister did that. And then how the name Joyce came about, like that's not her real name, but like not a lot of people. So what happened was, and this really happened. She asked me one time, she goes, how does the post guy, the mailman, how does he know everybody's first name? I'm like, it's on the letter, you idiot. So I put that on Facebook, and a mailman wrote, he goes, is your sister's name Joyce? He goes, that actually happened to me with a lady named, and I said, yeah, that's her. Like, that's my sister. So that's how Joyce got her name. And everybody wants to hear like more stuff about her, and I got to get back to that, because they always go, hey, how's your sister Joyce, and just start telling jokes about her. But that's kind of fun. But yeah, if she was on it, she'd kill me if, And I think my relatives don't even tell her, because I think they like laughing about her, because she's a nitwit, Here's something fun. Get this. Yeah. When the Cubs beat the Indians in the World Series that year, like I was like 2016 or something like that.
Yeah, it was not long ago.
So that was in October. Well, literally about 6 weeks after that, it was early December, the Cleveland Indians, their front office hired me to do their Christmas party. So when a guy introduced me, he goes, oh, this next guy's from Chicago. I had 400, they booed me all the way walking up to I had 400 people just boo. I'm like, oh my God. And I go, I'm a White Sox fan, you idiots. Like, I was rooting for you guys. That really happened.
That's funny. Yeah, that's one way to get out of it.
Yeah.
But anyways, so what do you got coming up new? You got more gigs coming up you want to promote?
Yeah, I got to cut my lawn tomorrow, and then Saturday I'm going to paint the garage.
But you're not going to be serious about it, right?
No. I've got, you know what, actually, where am I going? I'm going to Plano. They opened a new club in Plano, Texas, right outside of Dallas.
Right.
I'm there the 7th through the 10th or something.
Okay.
And then near the end of the month, I'm in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada.
Right.
And then I'm in Vegas at Brad Garrett's club the last week of July. And Brad's a good guy. He treats me really good. And
yeah,
working his club at the MGM.
He's a funny guy. I remember him back
Yeah.
on Star Search.
Yeah.
I went back on Star Search. But yeah, I've got a lot of friends down in Plano, Texas, in that area, transplants from Pittsburgh. So we'll get the message out to them and to come and see you. And you know, and when you're up in Canada, make sure you try that Bon Jovi joke again on them. See if it's still hitting. But
that was only in Montreal. They speak French in Montreal first before they speak English. You want to hear something weird? So get this, earlier when you were talking about my accent, I was in Rome. We went to Rome. We took a commercial flight to Rome, and we only had like about an hour to walk around, because then we were getting on a military flight and we were going to do this Aviano. I think it's the Aviano Air Base. It's in northern Italy. So we had to get on a commercial flight. So I'm coming out of this little cafe near the Coliseum, and this Australian guy's there, and he's like, "Hey, mate, you know, I thought, oh, what a cool accent, you know?" And he goes, "Can you tell me how to get to this cafe that we just came from?" And I go, "You go up." I go, "You just go up here, like to the end of the street, and then go left, and it's right there." And he goes, "I guess he thought I was from Italy." He goes, "You have fairly good English."
Fairly good.
I'm from Chicago. Like, I don't even, you idiot. And he laughed and walked away. And that's my only language I know. Like, I don't like, and it was just fairly good.
That's
you know?
funny that to a foreigner, it was fairly good. That's hysterical. Well, you know, definitely when we are going to have to get you back in Pittsburgh, whether that be on someone's end here, your agent's end's got a booking in Pittsburgh.
We're going to stay in there. What if I'm back in Zelienople? You guys plug that?
Yeah, well,
Sure.
Good old Zelia. I play golf at a golf course up that way. So, you know, we'll definitely come up and see if you're up in Zelienople.
Absolutely.
So.
How far is that from you? That's what
About an
about?
hour.
Yeah,
About
it
an
takes me
hour?
about an hour
About
from where I'm at.
50 minutes, maybe an hour. It's not very far.
I'll get to Pittsburgh, I promise, because I love
Yeah.
that city.
You're going to get a bigger crowd in Pittsburgh than you are in Zelienople. You just are.
There's nothing for anybody else to do in Zelienople. Everybody will show.
We sold out there, though. I think, I don't know if it's a 300 seat club, but I did it twice and we sold out both times, you know? So,
Well, that's pretty decent for Zelienople.
yeah. and
Yeah, well,
I'd
you
love-
got Cranberry and Warrenville right there, which
Yeah,
are
that's not
very
too far away.
prominent
Those are-
areas. So.
Yeah, they're very heavy populated areas, so it's not too far from there.
Oh, okay.
But well, we'll be mindful of your time there, Rocky. We really appreciate you coming on the show. We'll flash up your social media addresses there so people can check you out on Instagram and on YouTube, on
Thanks,
Facebook.
guys.
Where else do you do Twitter at all or no?
Yeah, I'm on there once in a while, but yeah, I have a Twitter account.
Okay, we'll flash all those up there for people so they know how to stay in touch with you. And boy, I tell you what, this is like I said, you're going to get a little bit of different questions from being on this show than you're probably used to, and maybe some of the same stuff. But like I said, a lot of the stuff is the stuff that I like to talk about and like to find out about you. But you seem like a really great guy. I'm going to try to find a way to put you in that golf movie. So
Thanks,
I may be reaching back out to you if we can pull that all together. Patrick Warburton's got to say yes though first. I got to get him to give me a yes, and we'll be on our way. So,
Wow. Well, God bless you, man. I hope that works out, you know?
thanks. Yeah, you and me both. So, all right. For the big M over there and for Rocky LaPorte, you got to check him out soon on the internet and live in front of your naked steaming ears whenever he's in your hometown. I am Michael Cagery. We'll see you next time on Blabber Brain Show.